Hey, Vegan Freaks. It's Monday, May 29th. This is podcast number 38.
Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Bob.
And I'm Jenna.
And this is Vegan Freak Radio number 38. Welcome back to the show.
We're here again?
We are indeed. We're always here.
Yes.
So, we're coming to you live from the very hot and humid and sticky Vegan Freak Radio headquarters.
Yeah, it's surprisingly warm here.
It is.
It's like 80-some degrees, so...
You know, I have to rant and rave just to begin. It's going to make me feel better.
All right, good, because you're in a bad mood.
I am. You know why I'm in a bad mood? Because we sit down to do this fucking show, and our asshole motherfucking neighbor across the street, I hope he hears me, right? You know what? I'm just going to say this right off the bat. I hope their house falls in the river, and I hope a dingo eats their baby. We don't have any dingoes, but the woman he's married to is Australian, so I figure I would use some kind of cultural reference that she would understand. So if she hears me, she knows what I'm talking about. Because, I hate these neighbors across the street. They're real fucking assholes. First, they're conservatives, and they're Christians. Okay? Like conservative
But not
Christians.
just any Christians. They're wacky cult-like Christians.
Yeah, they're in, like, the way, it's called, I think. So, they're in the way, and they've got the little, ribbons on their car, and all that bullshit, number one. Number two, they buy a house across the street from us, and they put up a 7-foot-tall fence in front of the house. No one on the block has a fence in front of their house that's more than 3 feet, 4 feet high. Most of the fences around here are picket fences. They put up a 7-foot-high fence, and they put lights on it. Lights. They put lights on the fucking fence, okay? I don't mean, like, little Christmas lights. I mean, like, lights, fixtures on the fence. And it violates the rules, the zoning rules in town, and they don't give a shit. They just do it. And town doesn't give a shit because they're all in tight with the town because the guy down the street does construction for the town. Okay, that's the first thing. They put up this stupid-ass fence. They're real asshole, fuckhead, dick fucks. And on top of it all, they've been doing construction on this house across the street for 2 years. 2 years. The house is not a palace. It is not a huge place. 2 years they've been doing construction over there. And it's been loud and annoying. And they have this machine. They own this machine that, I don't know what it is. It's this big orange machine that is really, really fucking loud, and he just shut it off, but I'm sure he'll start it again. You've probably heard it in the previous shows, and I hate this machine. I'm going to put up a picture of this machine so people understand. They think machine, they think maybe like a lawnmower or something. No, I can deal with lawnmowers.
It's about as big as a backhoe.
It's bigger than a backhoe. Mm-hmm. It is. It's a big machine. It's got 3 or 4 foot tall tires on it. It's a construction vehicle, and they drive the thing around the fucking neighborhood all the time. They drive it back and forth. They drive from the front of their house to the side of their house. They were using it yesterday to move furniture. They were putting furniture in the front of this thing and driving around, and it's loud, and it annoys me. And I hope their house falls in the river, and I hope dingoes eat their babies. They're ugly little babies.
Maybe the coyotes will. We don't have dingoes, so maybe the coyotes will eat their babies.
We don't
or
have
the
coyotes.
bears.
We do have bears around here on occasion do eat the babies.
They do.
They do. They run out of the woods and grab the babies out of strollers and eat them. And no one ever talks about the food chain then. We never hear, well, just the way the food chain is.
No, you got to kill the bear for revenge.
Well, of course, because they're dangerous then, right?
Right.
Well, I hope a bear swims out of the river into their house and eats them all. That's how I feel right now. I hope their house falls in the river.
It might. They built it awfully close to the edge. It's like right on the edge. There's like a foot between them and the river.
Were this anywhere in like the civilized world where they had laws, it would be against the law to be that close to the water without posts in the ground. There are no posts in the ground. It's just like the river and their house. Mm-hmm. It's really, I think it's kind of stupid because the river in the winter, I mean, it's going to get high probably and flood their house. But I'm sorry. I'm going to stop complaining now. I feel better though. I do. I had to rant and rave because these people drive me insane. Jenna stopped me from going out there and saying something to him just now. I was like vibrating. I was so angry.
That's because we've actually talked to them in the past, and they do nothing. They don't care. They don't give a shit. They just keep doing what they're doing.
We went to the town to complain. I went to the town board to complain about some of the stuff, and also I had documented violations of the zoning law that they had done. I had things that were documented, and the town said, well, you should be neighborly and sit down and have some lemonade and talk about it. Fuck your lemonade. You know, I don't want lemonade. I want shit done.
I don't know. If we could afford a lawyer, there would be no problems.
There are better things to do than waste $1,000 or more on a lawyer.
Yeah, well, I mean, they drove our neighbors to the left of us. They drove them out. They're moving.
They're moving.
They are so frustrated because their view is ruined.
Yeah.
Their house is ruined.
And the neighbor to the other side died. That's how frustrated he was.
Yeah. So the only cool neighbors that they're absolutely totally cool with us.
Yeah.
They're really awesome and
They
they're
are.
so nice and they're moving.
Yeah, well. So that's my rant and rave, and I want to do things to get them back. I don't know what I don't know what to do. I'm thinking that maybe since they're really conservative Christians, I just get a big sign that says like "Praise Satan" for the front lawn, or maybe I just get a sign that says "I want dingoes to eat your baby." I'll just put it on her front lawn. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
I want dingoes to eat your baby. Everybody else would be like, "What the hell's that about?" No one else would understand, right? But the people across the street would know. Because she's Australian. She came over once to talk to us, and she told me that our conflicts arose out of cultural difference. I said to her, you know what? If you're from fucking Papua New Guinea, yeah, cultural difference. If you lived in a tribe somewhere in the fucking jungle, yeah, cultural difference. But Australia, cultural difference? We're not talking about, like, slang, all right? I mean, these are both, you know, the United States and Australia, right? They're different countries, but...
We both come from the same backgrounds.
We both come from British colonialism
Yes.
in some way or another, right? And so, you know, cultural difference, my fucking ass. Cultural difference. Get the hell...
Anyway, back to veganism.
I'm going to get centered. Sorry. I'm going to get centered now. Yes, I'm going to...
We can leave rotting vegetables on their yard.
See, but they don't smell.
Sure, we got to get stinky rotten vegetables.
Like what?
Like rotting oranges smell pretty bad.
They don't smell bad enough that you could be in your house and smell them. No, you need, like, a ton of them for that.
Just throw dog shit over there.
You could do that. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I am going to get a big sign on the front lawn that says, I want dingoes to eat your baby. So, anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize for my ranting and raving. I feel better. I feel a lot better now, though.
Good.
I just wonder, you know, man, why can't we solve these problems?
I don't know. They feel entitled.
Yeah,
That's
they
part
do.
of the problem, is that it's their land, so they're going to do whatever the fuck they want with it. Screw us and our view, because they have their view of the river. Who cares?
But it's not just the view. It's
I
just
know.
that I don't care so much about that. It's just that they're fucking assholes.
Everything they do is rude.
Yeah.
Everything
They
they
have
do.
zero respect for anyone else around here, and
Yeah.
that's what makes me hate them and wish that dingoes would eat their baby. So anyway, let's move on. We got a couple of announcements. First thing is we're doing an all-music podcast shortly in a couple weeks. And by June 5th, we would like to have any submission from anyone out there who is vegan and in a band. So the basic requirement is that you will take music from any band that has at least one member vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it should be your music, not like just send in random
Yeah,
people
right.
that you like, but it should be your music that you make.
You have a hand in.
Yes.
So we would like that. And we're going to play all these together. We're probably going to interview a couple people and put together a show.
Yeah. And we've got quite a few submissions already, so
We do indeed. So
good stuff.
Yeah,
and it's all different genres too, so not just, you know, the stuff like we play on the show all the time.
Yeah,
we
not
play
just
that
hardcore.
mostly because the lyrics are really good. So any genre doesn't have, the lyrics don't have to have anything to do with veganism.
No, we already have submissions from folks who do hip hop, from folks who do electronica,
Yeah,
different
ambient
kinds of
kind
electronica, instrumental stuff. We've got a whole variety of things coming. So send your music in.
Yes.
And we would love to get it on the show. Now, by sending it to us, we're presuming that you're giving us permission to play it. So
Yeah.
so,
Indeed.
yeah.
Anyway.
Now there's an ATV parade going by outside.
Speaking of parade, today's Memorial Day in
Oh.
the States here. And every year, our little town of about, less than 2,000 people, is about, 1,200.
2,000 people in the whole
township.
Forget like where we live.
Where we live is about 200.
Yeah.
And they have a parade every year. Nobody ever watches this parade. People we watch out our front window, but it's consists of a car with some old veteran in it going past, a convertible.
Oh, wait, listen.
There goes the machine.
You hear that? You hear that fucking asshole? Listen. Oh, now of course he stops.
Nope, there it goes.
This is what I hear all the fucking time. all the time.
Every day.
Every day for the last 2 or more years. And it sucks when you're trying to do a recording. Okay.
He always seems to wait until we start the podcast, too.
You know, I hope dingoes eat his baby.
Anyway,
and he falls in the river.
This little parade that went by today.
So
there's this old guy in a convertible waving to everybody. The high school marching band, which is pretty small because our high school's tiny.
Yeah, it is.
And it was the volunteer fire department and then the fire trucks, and that was it. And it just goes through a little town to the cemetery.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre. It's very...
But no one's ever out to watch the parade.
No, it's really surreal.
Anyway, that was the parade today in Fulton. Also, another announcement we want to make is that Dispatches from Hell finally is coming out. We're sorry for some delays on that. Those of you that have ordered it, we apologize. It was supposed to have been sent to you already, but there was a small delay with the cover, the bleed on the cover. So we got that fixed, and now the book is printing and will be with you shortly. So
that of course delayed one more day by the fucking holiday.
Yeah, by the fucking holiday. So the books are on their way to all the different people that need them. And anyway, you can order the book at dispatchesfromhell.org. I think there's a link there to do it. Or through the Tofu Hound store. If you go to Vegan Freak and click on Buy Vegan Freak, it'll take you like to another page where you can go and order that book. This book is what's the full title of the book? I always forget.
I don't know, but it's not quite available on Amazon yet, so don't look for it there yet. You have to order it through one of the websites that Bob had just mentioned, but it will be there eventually.
On Amazon in about 3 to 4 weeks. The book is called Dispatches from Hell, A Vegan's Guide to Love, Sex, Relationships, and Other Suicidal Tendencies. And it's a short little book, but funny, and it has in a lot of advice about being vegan in relationships and dating and meeting parents and getting married and sex and communication and things like that. So, and it has funny little text boxes in it that are worth a chuckle. So it's worth it. I think it's a good book. I mean, we're publishing the book, so I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, and by the way, you slackers, no one called. We were giving away a free book last week, and no one called.
Yeah, that's right. We're giving away a copy of this book.
Yeah.
And no one called for it.
Yeah. We said the first person to call the voicemail line and say they wanted the book, and no one called.
You all suck.
So, fuck you all. No one gets a book.
No, it's not nice to talk to your listeners like that. You're yelling at me for being mad at the neighbors, and you go and tell our listeners to fuck themselves or whatever?
No.
You don't mean it.
I don't mean it.
Apologize.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
Apologize.
I just thought somebody would want a free book.
Yeah, I know. No one wants a free book, apparently. Oh,
so,
well.
We got other voicemails.
Oh, well.
But, yeah, well.
So here is a list of things that come out of the book. This is one of the text boxes. What not to say on a first date. You know, I'm not wearing any underwear. Well, it's settled. This is going to give me the shits. Number 3, anything about exes. My favorite movie? Oh, definitely Waking Life. How was I supposed to know that dog was going to run right out in front of the car? Sheesh. So how much do I owe you? How was I supposed to know those kids were going to run right out in front of the car after their dog? So, your sister or brother, how old is she again? Spit or swallow? So I'll leave it right there. It's a book of rare humor. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. You've got to have kind of a thick skin for the book in some ways. You know, it's not a thick skin, but it's funny.
It's funny.
It's a funny book. I recommend it. And I would because I have a financial interest in it. All right, so we don't have a whole ton of show for you today besides our ranting and raving. But there are a couple things we want to talk about.
Yeah. And mostly about recent articles that have been. There seem to be a slew of articles lately in certain types of publications, mostly ones that are kind of liberal-leaning, like The New Yorker, Harper's. Well, Satya did a whole issue on this kind of thing, but from a different perspective, of course, from a really good perspective. It was not the most recent one. That's about freegans. But the one before that is all about where food comes from. And, you know, local versus not local, organic versus conventional, thinking about where your food comes from and making choices based on, you know, the issues, what you think is important. And Satya did a really good job at looking at a lot of different aspects of that, and I thought that was a really interesting issue. Mm-hmm. But these other magazines, the more mainstream, liberal-leaning, like, you know, New Yorker usually has a lot of articles, you know, like against the Bush administration, Seymour Hersh, all that kind of stuff. Harper's is usually kind of left-leaning as well.
Kind of?
Okay, very.
I mean, it's a liberal.
Liberal, yes. And both of these articles, both of these magazines, and the articles in them, I think really show what's wrong with, liberals and their attitudes towards animals.
I'd go as far to say as they're not vegan.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think
but it's really interesting that there's this whole slew of articles and books coming out recently talking about the way we eat. There's the Peter Singer book.
Yep.
Which makes the conclusion that we should be
Peter
vegan.
Singer and Mason.
Jim Mason.
Well, it doesn't really make that conclusion, does it?
Well, I don't know. I didn't read it. But that's what I've heard. That, that diet comes off as looking best.
Yeah, they advocate it.
But they advocate more, at least you should cut down on your meat kind of thing.
They do advocate cutting down, but they also advocate if you're going to consume meat that you consume the gentler, kindler death.
Right.
Meat.
And that's what these articles talk about. The gentle, kinder death.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway.
So there, I don't know. I mean, I actually think it's it seems that there's a lot of discussion in kind of popular culture about this stuff, and what I'm wondering is, I want to talk about some of these articles. In particular, there's one called "Swine of the Times." It was in Harper's. What month is this, by the way?
May.
This is May, Harper's magazine. It's called "Swine of the Times," and it says "The Making of the Modern Pig." I'd like to talk about this article, but I want to also kind of talk about this conversation in the sense of thinking, okay, if this is a moment in which our pop culture, at least in the United States, I don't know about the rest of the world. Europe is certainly different in its approach to food. People are more sensitive in Europe to food and to where it comes from. But if this is a moment in American pop culture that we're thinking more about where our food comes from and we're more sensitive to it, how do we turn it away from this kind of like, we just need to eat kinder, gentler death rather than how do we turn away from that and into a question of veganism? That's what I want to know is, like, how do we get that turn coming? So I think there's a moment here where people are thinking more about it, but I think it's a moment that we need to steer. We need to talk about, and we need to think about ways to get people thinking about what meat really is, and not just eating nicer meat.
Yes, because the conclusion of all of these articles, and a recent book called The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan, which is getting a lot of press. There was a whole series of articles in New York Times Select, which is the series you have to pay for. I just saw the titles. I don't pay for it, so I didn't get it and didn't read it. But it's getting a lot of press, and basically their whole conclusion is, yes, we can still eat meat, but we should be nicer to the animals before we kill them.
Of course.
And it all comes down to is because we want them to be healthier for us and we want them to taste good.
Well, and the other thing is that all the stuff has as its side effect of making vegetarianism look extreme, right? Because
exactly.
It's no coincidence that it always comes down to, well, what about vegetarianism? And no, I don't think we need to think about that, because the thing that always comes out is, as you start thinking about the side effects of all the consumption that we're doing, the natural result always is, well, what about going vegetarian? And then often this is always set up so that you don't think about that, so that it's always conveniently dismissed and pushed aside.
Exactly. And it makes vegetarians look really bad, and always, basically disses vegetarians. Not even vegans, but vegetarians. Like, no, you don't need to go there. It's not necessary.
That's it.
So, where do you want to start?
Well, let me talk about this Swine of the Times article that you showed me. It's under a subtitle of "A Letter from Iowa." So, what this talks about is really the subtitle of it is called "The Making of the Modern Pig," and it traces out how we got to kind of a situation of really intensively produced pig or pork in America. And it looks at really the concentration of agriculture in the Midwest, how it's going to squeeze out some farms, and also it examines how we've had to manipulate animals to get them to a place where they are producing in exactly what we want, which is very inexpensive. We want the cheapest possible production, right? And we want very lean meat. And what the article talks about is how this has required artificial insemination. It's required really strict genetic, genetic manipulation of animals. Well, not only genetic manipulation of animals, but also breeding, really successive lines of breeding to get the animal exactly to where you want it. Yeah,
and then genetic, basically they want everything to be genetically homogeneous. Well, they don't want any deviation, because they want, if you get pork from this company, they want it to taste the same. You know what it's going to taste like. So
right.
For that, you have to have every pig has to be the same. And what I thought was disturbing but interesting, is that this has mostly been happening since the 90s.
Right.
And they've been modeling it on chickens.
Yeah, they have.
Chickens started it all, because you can put chickens in such cramped corners in order to cut costs and to maximize profit, is that they're using this model. Oh, let's apply this to other animals, and they're doing it for pigs, cows, etc.
Well, but the thing is that with pigs, there are so many troubles that are coming about. I mean, first off, they want complete uniformity of animals, and as you know, that's very difficult to achieve. And in order to achieve that uniformity, they have had to select very carefully for particular traits. And so what they've done is through that selection actually accidentally bred traits into current production pigs that are very damaging to the pigs themselves. I mean, this one paragraph says that cookie cutter perfection, of the pigs themselves, however, becomes a liability when a pig gets sick. If one hog lacks immunity to a disease, it's likely the others with the same father will as well. But the demand for uniformity outweighs the risk. The more similar the swines, the more easily they fit into mechanized system, increasing efficiency. For instance, as swine carcasses move down the conveyor belt at Hormel's Austin, Minnesota packing plant, they hit a curved knife which slices a cylindrical loin from the inside of the body cavity. If the animals aren't just the right proportions, the knife will hit the wrong spot, wasting meat or cutting into the bone. Now, I don't think about wasting meat or cutting into the bone, right? I think about making the animal suffer. But nevertheless, what they talk about here is how they need these animals to all be uniform, and they need to be uniform because of the production assembly line that we're looking at for animal agriculture these days.
Mm-hmm. What disturbed me most about reading this article was the fact that they talk about pigs as units throughout this whole article, and that only until the very end were pigs seen as units, that they're things of production, that they're not seen as animals, they're not seen as beings. And eventually the author wants to come see them as this so they can frolic in the fields, and then so you can eat them and they'll be tastier.
Right.
But he never sees them during this whole thing. I mean, the author goes through this whole process. He goes to where they inseminate the pigs. He goes to where they're raising the pigs in really confined quarters. They can't turn around. They can only move back and forth a little bit. He sees them going nuts. He doesn't go to a slaughterhouse. But he sees all this, and he still wants to eat it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that his paradigm is so distinct from ours is just incredible to me. There's such a wide gap that we need to breach.
Yeah, you're right. It is a very wide gap to breach. There's no question about it. He's coming from a completely different place,
Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay, so anyway, one of the other things this article talks about, and I think this is one of those things that we do need to keep in mind here, is that basically animals are being turned into units of production. I mean, it says that, like you were saying earlier, and what they say here is the successful Smithfield producer has to watch his inputs, death rates, and pounds gained per pound of feed to maximize protein production. Instead of paying attention to individual pigs, producers focused on the efficiency of the herd as a whole. And he goes on to say, as one Midwestern veterinarian put it, his role has changed from something akin to a family doctor to a public health planner. The days when I would get called in to see one sick pig are long gone, he said. Instead, workers dispatch sick hogs. Dispatch, I like the euphemism. Mm-hmm. Dispatch sick hogs with a bolt gun, or simply swing the runts by their hind legs against the concrete floor. Healing is inefficient. And I mean, the article goes to a lot of trouble to show all of the problems that come from this production. But again, like Jenna said, the guy still at the end of the day decides that eating meat is okay. It blows my mind.
Yeah. Go ahead. You have more good stuff to read in there from the article.
So what they continue to talk about here is that how they've bred these pigs so much that the meat itself is kind of becoming gross. I mean, it's always gross, right? But the meat itself is actually the quality of the meat is changing radically because of the production methods that they're using, and people are not finding it as tasty, as sick as that is. But anyway, another thing they discuss here is that let's see. I lost my spot. Go ahead.
I don't know. You got the article there. But yeah, the descriptions that they give of the meat, it's becoming like basically it falls apart, because what happens is that the animals get so stressed out, because one of the things that they've bred into that accidentally in trying to get this uniform lean pig is that they've accidentally bred into it this trait, where is that they get majorly stressed out, and of course the conditions that they put them in stresses them out even more, and that they can have a heart attack just from a loud noise. And so when that happens, the pigs are just, they produce, I think they said they produce lactic acid, and which makes their meat turn to mush.
Well, the other thing I want to talk about here is exactly what you just discussed, and thanks for reminding me. It says here that scientists have found that the modern pig's monotonous life in cramped quarters puts it on edge. Temple Grandin,
our favorite.
Yeah, I really don't like her.
I know.
But anyway, Temple Grandin, a professor of animal science at Colorado State University, has shown that when workers petted pigs for 5 minutes a day, let them out of their crates for a brief walk, or gave them a piece of rubber hose to play with, the animals calm down. Pigs are, after all, highly intelligent animals, probably more intelligent than dogs, and, like dogs, they grow restless without anything to do. When swine cannot so much as turn around in their crates, they often develop repetitive movements, biting at the air and swinging their heads from side to side, movements that some students of animal behavior say signal frustration or neurosis. So what the article looks at is how the conditions of our conditions of pork production create this kind of suffering for animals. I mean, the article is very obvious, very clear about it, and it's right there, you know. And yet the guy, the solution he comes up with is, well, you know, instead of pushing the pig to the limit of what it can stand so that it will fit into a better and more efficient system, he talks to this farmer who has created a farm that, quote, works in cooperation with the animals. You know, so he says here, give the pig what it wants, the theory goes, and in return the pig will thrive and someday make a toothsome meal. So the analysis that they're putting forth is that, you know, not that torturing animals is wrong, or not that it's not wrong, but that they don't seem to look one step further. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like they don't seem to look at the obvious conclusion, which is that, you know, doing this to animals, whether you do it nicely to them or not so nicely to them, is wrong regardless. And it's like coming from a completely different place.
It is. And the author had the article, you know, into subsections, broken into subsections, and he had this one subsection titled, "We've Gone Too Far." I'm like, hell yeah, we have. And here I'm thinking that he's going to, okay, he described all of this, and now he's going to make the conclusion that we need to stop factory farming, and he does to a point, because he thinks that using technological fix for the technological fixes, by keeping doing that, he thinks that's a cycle we don't need to get into, and I completely agree with that. But then he, like you just said, his basic conclusion is, oh, well, we'll just make happy pigs, and they're better for eating.
But that's the thing, is it's completely human-centered, right? How do we get people to a place? The thing I'm wondering as I read all this stuff is everything is completely human-centered, right? It's like it never has much to do with the animals, I think. I mean, most of it tends to be, you know, a kind of secondary focus on the suffering of the animals, but a primary focus on, you know, what the quality of the meat is or things like that. It tends to be this kind of, I don't know, I get very frustrated with it. And I just feel like it's very difficult in some of these things. I wonder if there's a way we can get people to focus on the concrete suffering of other creatures rather than what the meat's going to taste like.
Right.
You know, and now on NPR you can hear Whole Foods advertising, you know, hormone-free meat and all this other stuff. And it's a very self-centered kind of thing. It's like, I'm not going to eat I'm going to eat meat with hormones in it, but I'll eat meat. Mm-hmm. How do we get people to stop thinking that it's okay to consume animals and get them to start thinking about why they might not want to consume animals at all, right? Even if they're nice, happy ones that are grazed somewhere very gentle and sweet.
Exactly. And it goes back to, it's like the Western version of, you know, the Eastern thing. Oh, I'm going to honor the animal before I eat it. It's the same kind of thing. Oh, well, we'll just make them happier, and then we won't feel so guilty when we eat them, you know. And it also creates this huge class difference too. Mm-hmm. That, okay, yeah, animal welfare. Okay, it's good. It's good that there are going to be happier pigs out there.
Sure.
Okay, that's a great step. However, it's going to create this niche market,
of course, for
these pigs, because not everybody's going to be able to afford them. Mm-hmm. And so there's this one drive where there's going to be a move towards more animal welfare, and it's going to raise the price of the meat, and the meat's going to taste better or whatever, and people are going to buy it, and they're going to feel better about it. These are the people who shop at Whole Foods and buy the meat, you know, because it's organic or whatnot. But on the other hand, you have, you know, this Walmartization of society, and there's this move towards making things even cheaper, and Walmart's doing that with organics. I mean, they know organics is a huge market, but they're trying to do it as cheaply as possible, so it sort of waters down what organic means. And the same thing's going to happen. You're still going to have these factory farmed meats that, you know, the poor people are going to buy, and they're still going to have this distinction. So it really bothers me.
Yeah, I think so too.
This whole thing.
Well, again, the solution that always comes out of these things isn't that stopping eating meat. The solution isn't that one should stop eating meat. It's that one should be a little nicer to the animals, which I admit I have some sympathy for that notion. But the conclusion that always comes out is that vegetarianism is somehow unreasonable. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand that. Mm-hmm. You know, like why is it okay? I guess it's a cultural thing. It's okay to kill animals. It's kind of in our culture, and we're born with it. We grew up with it, and we learn that animals are disposable. You know, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I noticed about all these articles that I've been reading lately is that they never go into the slaughterhouse And a lot of times they don't because they can't. Nobody will let them in, and for a good reason. There's a reason that slaughterhouses don't have windows.
Yeah, there is.
And I mean, even the review of, it was kind of a review of Michael Pollan's book, The Omnivore's Dilemma, and this review of organics, and the author basically comes to the conclusion of, well, we don't need to be vegetarians because it's all whatever. And he mentions that Michael Pollan doesn't go into the slaughterhouse because nobody will let him in, and he's thankful for that. He doesn't want to hear about it at all, and he's very thankful that the author doesn't go to that, and he doesn't want to hear anything about it because, oh, by the way, I mean, Eric, what's his name? Fast Food Nation.
Oh, Schlosser.
Schlosser already did that. So, we don't need to hear it again.
It's been done already.
Yeah. And, the guy who did the pig article didn't go in to see how pigs are slaughtered. So it's that last step there. I think if people thought about that last step, would be more disturbed. Not everybody, because some people seem to relish in the killing of another being.
That's actually true, too.
I mean, there's apparently been a couple of articles that have been talking about that in the New Yorker, which I haven't read because we somehow missed that issue.
Yeah, I think our subscription lapsed for one issue.
But good thing Gary from our forums got a letter in the New Yorker.
Gary did.
About it. So
that was pretty cool.
Was good.
But I mean, again, I think this is a moment in which a lot of people are thinking about where their food comes from. And I'm bothered because the natural result that seems to be coming out of some of this is, again, the dissing of vegetarianism. And we need to think about how can we get some media out there to get people thinking about vegetarianism or veganism as an option. I mean, I think really veganism is the only pertinent option. Because vegetarianism, I don't mean to offend anyone, but vegetarianism is, I mean, if it's a reduction in meat consumption, that's a good thing. But if you're a vegetarian, right, you're still consuming dairy and eggs, which are really two of the most cruel foods to consume. Pound for pound, I think.
Cruel and environmentally destructive.
That too. Although I don't care about the environment. I'm kidding. Lest all of you write in and yell at me. I do care. I was just kidding. It was a joke.
Well, maybe this is where some of the health and environment arguments would be good. If people don't care enough about the animal, they don't want to see it suffer, but they don't give a shit if it's killed. Well, maybe they'll care a little bit about their own health. But then again, you have the problem of there's all this media out there that says soy's bad for you. Oh, if you eat meat once in a while, it's good for you. So we still run into the same problems. You
do. I mean, another thing, too, is that some of the folks who believe in the welfarist line argue that these kinds of things are good. They say that the more that people come to recognize that animals have an interest in not suffering, even if that interest doesn't preclude death, right? Even if it allows us to kill the animal for our own good, they say that incrementally speaking, that someday we will have a world in which everyone will realize that animals deserve more respect, maybe so much respect that we shouldn't even kill them.
That would be good.
Well, but is that what welfarism really does?
No, that's not what welfarism does.
I don't know if it does.
I don't think so. I mean, if you look at these articles, people want welfarism, but they don't want to stop eating meat. It leads to you get this niche market of more expensive meat. But
well, then the argument that they always have is that, well, if you have if the meat's more expensive, right, that means that fewer and fewer people can eat it. So you're effectively decreasing demand for the product by making it more expensive, by adding all these layers of regulation in before you can kill the animal and things like that.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not, because of the kinds of dynamics I see coming out in these articles, I'm not convinced that line works, because these articles, they do highlight issues of animal suffering, but ultimately the conclusion ends up being one of, well, don't go vegetarian.
Right.
And I wonder down the line, does this mean, that we will ever really be in a situation where we'll be able to walk far enough away from our speciesist culture to leave that meat eating behind? I don't think so. I don't think. And I'm not terribly convinced that we'll really see a huge decline in meat eating in that way either. But
no, I mean, okay, say we pass laws in all 50 states that make welfarism, the law that you can't have factory farming. We're just going to ship it off to some other country where they don't care.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what this article says.
That's exactly what happens.
Well, that's what that article says, too, is that, well, if we do start instituting these kinds of dynamics in the United States in terms of demanding higher welfare standards for animals, then fine. Your pork's going to come from Brazil or China, where they don't give a flying fuck about the environment, about labor, about animal welfare at all. So it's just going to shift the burden offshore, just like it's done with manufacturing. I mean, the same thing has happened. It just continues
because all companies care about is profit.
Yeah,
so that's all they care about. I mean, that's the bottom line.
That's right.
Anyway,
so,
and there's another sentiment I see in these articles too is that especially the one about organics, is that, okay, they're talking about this large organic farm in California, and saying, yeah, well, they don't use all the chemicals to make the package of arugula that you're getting in the grocery store, but then they still have to ship it across the country, and they're still wasting diesel fuel, and they're still using petroleum.
Yep.
And it's the whole sentiment of like, well, the system is so overwhelming, and that none of the solutions are perfect, so I'm just not going to do anything.
Yeah, I'm going to do nothing.
And that bothers me so much. I'm like, okay, yeah, so the organic grower in California has to ship my arugula to me, via truck or whatever. Okay, so yeah, they're using diesel for that, but they saved a lot of petroleum in not making all those chemicals that went onto that and is destroying the soil.
True.
It's like, okay, so it's not a perfect solution, but it's a better one.
Yeah. There are no, I don't know that there are perfect solutions right now.
There aren't. But you can do better.
Oh, yeah.
And veganism is doing better. It's not perfect.
It's not perfect.
And that's what I think comes out of Michael Pollan's book, from what Eric Marcus told us. He read it. We haven't read it.
No, I haven't.
Is that, well, because veganism is not perfect, because, you still kill bugs when you go harvest all your stuff and you kill all the mice, well, then he's just not going to bother. So that whole sentiment is just really nice. But veganism is a whole lot better than the factory farming.
Is.
It's not perfect, but
conscious
it's better.
Veganism is. But then a lot of vegans actually are, so focused solely on the issue of consumption of consumption of vegan items that it becomes kind of a niche market for vegan items, and then we tend to forget, okay, well, where are these things coming from, etc.
Right.
So I think veganism needs to be sensible about where it sources its. Vegans need to be sensible where they source their things from. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
But this Harper's too that we had is sort of like the anti-vegetarian Harper's magazine now.
What a surprise to have a progressive anti-vegetarian.
Exactly.
It's because also progressives so more often than not are wealthier, and they like to eat meat.
Exactly.
They enjoy their kind of exotic meat.
Yep.
They like to go to their little exotic countries and have their little exotic meals of meat. And fuckers.
I know. But they always have, at the beginning of Harper's, they always put big essays or copies of talks that people are giving. And this is from a guy named Roger Scruton, I don't know, in a debate with Peter Singer. Of course, they don't print Peter Singer's half of the debate. They print his, and it's called A Carnivore's Credo. Uh-huh. And I think another part of the problem that arises out of these is that people don't understand why we're vegetarians.
Right.
Like, they have no concept, and they come up with their own little notions as to why we do it, and they just really do not understand. They cannot see that we see the suffering, and that makes us want to stop participating in the system.
Absolutely.
And so he says in this, in his little speech, is that the real force of the vegetarian argument stems, I believe, from a revulsion at the vicious carnivore, the meat eater as he has evolved in the solipsistic fast food culture, with the removal of food from its central place in domestic life and the winning of friends. And that's part of it. And he gives the example of like people voraciously eating fast food hamburgers and not thinking about where it comes from.
Right.
And that's part of it. And so reduce meat to the object of solitary greed like chocolate, and the question naturally arises, why should life be sacrificed just for this? The question presents a challenge. It is asking the burger stuffer to come clean, to show why it is that his greed should be indulged in this way, why he can presume to kill again and again for the sake of solitary pleasure that neither creates nor sustains any moral ties. To such a question, it is always possible to respond with a shrug of the shoulders. But it is a real question, one of many that people now ask, as the old forms of piety dwindle. Piety is the remedy for religious guilt, and to this emotion we are all witting or unwitting heirs. And I suspect people become vegetarians for precisely that reason. By doing so, they overcome the residue of guilt that attaches to every form of hubris, and in particular to the hubris of human freedom. I mean, that's okay. So that, yeah, it's guilt is part of it, but it's not all of it.
No, it's not.
We're not just responding to the voracious, meat eating, and that certainly we are responding to that as part of it. But
well, isn't he arguing essentially that what we are fundamentalists against that?
Yes.
The way he pitches that is very familiar to the arguments that come out in political science and sociology about how fundamentalism evolves. I mean, fundamentalism evolves as in a context in which one's culture or one's identity is being challenged, and they're seen as these excesses that are going to move into one's culture or one's identity, and fundamentalism's reaction to that. I mean, in a sense, he's arguing that we're having a fundamental reaction. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that that's it.
No, and he seems to think that we're doing it to be morally superior, although he's phrasing it in much more philosophical and language.
Yeah,
it's basically his conclusion is that that's why we're doing it. And his conclusion at the very last paragraph of this is mind-boggling. I would suggest that it is not only permissible for those who care about animals to eat meat, they have a duty to do so. If meat eating should ever become confined to those who do not care about animal suffering, then compassionate farming would cease. Where there are conscientious carnivores, there is a motive to raise animals kindly. Moreover, conscientious carnivores show their depraved contemporaries that there is a right and a wrong way to eat. Duty requires us, therefore, to eat our friends. Duty requires us, therefore, to eat our friends. Come on.
Well, these are the kinds
because,
of
okay, we're going to be nice to animals and therefore we have a duty to eat them?
Well, we have a duty. He's saying that we have a duty to treat them well and eat them.
How about the duty is to not make them reproduce and then not eat them?
Well, yeah, that would be the idea, wouldn't it?
It's really not that hard.
I mean, what I like, though, is I had this... for some reason, I keep thinking about this Elisée Reclus bit. He has this thing... Elisée Reclus is a French anarchist, and he's written this little essay called On Vegetarianism, and as you were reading that, I kind of looked down and saw this, and I thought of some of the things he has to say about this. And out of this On Vegetarianism essay, he says, "It is just one of the sorriest results of our flesh-eating habits that the animals sacrificed to man's appetite have been systematically and methodically made hideous, shapeless, and debased in intelligence and moral worth. The name even of the animal into which the boar has been transformed is used as the grossest of insults. The mass of flesh we see wallowing in noisome pools is so loathsome to look at that we agree to avoid all similarity of name between the beast and the dishes we make out of it. What a difference there is between the mouflon's appearance and habits as he skips about upon the mountain rocks and that of the sheep, which has lost all individual initiative and becomes mere debased flesh, so timid that it dares not leave the flock, running headlong into the jaws of the dog that pursues it." And he goes on and talks about how, basically, we've just, by using animals exactly the way that this guy wants to use them, we've debased them. We've turned them into these products. We've turned them into these things, these mere things. And it's really sad, And Reclus goes on to say that this is really kind of a mirror for what we do to all of nature, that we basically shit upon all of nature in this way. That we take nature, kind of chew it up and spit it out.
Pretty much.
We fuck with it in ways that we shouldn't. And he actually, in this essay, which I really like, makes these connections between the ways in which we treat animals and the ways in which we treat other people. So he's saying that the atrocities that we see in the world, it's no coincidence that these atrocities are linked to the ways in which we treat nature and other people and other animals. All of these things are kind of put together in a way. It's all about our more base nature, and I think it's a really good point.
Definitely.
And he concludes the whole thing by saying, what does he say here? Let me find the good part. Okay. "But however this may be, we simply say that for the great majority of vegetarians, the question is not whether the biceps and the triceps are more solid than those of flesh eaters, nor whether the organism is better able to resist the risks of life and the chances of death, which is even more important. For them, the important point is the recognition of the bond of affection and goodwill that links man to the so-called lower animals, and the extension to these, our brothers of the sentient, which has already put a stop to cannibalism among men. The reasons which might be pleaded by anthrophagists," anthrophagists, I like that, "against the disuse of human flesh in their customary diet would be as well founded as those urged by ordinary flesh eaters today. The arguments that were opposed to that monstrous habit are precisely those we vegetarians employ now." So he's saying that the reason you wouldn't be a cannibal is the reason that you should be a vegetarian. You don't eat humans, don't eat animals.
Right.
"The horse and the cow, the rabbit and the cat, the deer and the hare, the pheasant and the lark please us better as friends than as meat. We wish to preserve them either as respected fellow workers or simply as companions in the joy of life and friendship."
Aw, that's so nice.
I do. I like that.
I like that.
Elisée Reclus, when did he write this, man?
That's old.
1901, I guess, is when this stuff was published.
Wow.
And
if only he could see how much worse it's gotten. How much worse we're shitting on the planet.
That's the thing, man. It really is. It's really sad. So this is a good little essay, and it's worth checking out. AK Press has it printed, but you probably find it on the web, too. So I'm sitting here looking at the printed version from AK.
Good stuff.
So, yeah. I don't know.
How about a song?
How about a song? Oh, no.
Oh, no. Now Emmy's getting excited for some reason. It's too hot to get excited, Emmy.
It is too hot.
The dogs are sitting here panting. They're very hot.
Yes. So, all right. So for today's song, we're going to play a song by NoFX. This one is off of their Never Trust a Hippie EP, which has some really good songs against Jesus on it that are worth listening to. But no, this is called "You're Wrong."
You're wrong about virtues of Christianity, and you're wrong if you agree with Sean Hannity. If you think that pride is about nationality, you're wrong. You're wrong when you imprison people turning tricks, and you're wrong about trickle-down economics. If you think that punk rock doesn't mix with politics, you're wrong. You're wrong for hating queers and eating steers if you kill for the thrill of the hunt. You're wrong about wearing fur and not hating Aunt Culture, 'cause she's a cunted cunt. Or you're wrong if you celebrate Columbus Day, and you're wrong if you think there'll be a judgment day. If you're a charter member of the NRA, you're wrong. You're wrong if you support capital punishment, and you're wrong if you don't question your government. If you think her reproductive rights are inconsequent, you're wrong. You're wrong fighting jihad, your blind faith in God, your religions are all flawed. You're wrong about drug use when it's not abuse. I hope you never reproduce. You're getting high on the down low, a victim of the COINTELPRO. You're wrong, and we'll probably never know.
Okay. So that was NoFX off of their... Holy hell. That was NoFX off of Never Trust a Hippie EP. Yeah. Sorry about that rant previously. Would we make any sense?
I hope so.
God, who the hell knows?
I was either, like, in reading, like, we've been reading, like, all these different articles, and there's so many thoughts going through your head, and then trying to put them in an order that makes sense.
Yep.
Difficult.
I'm hot and dizzy now. It's really
not good.
What?
You're dizzy?
No, I'm not dizzy. It's because I'm vegan.
You're not getting enough protein.
Because I'm old. I can't wait until I really am old. I'm going to sit on the front porch and just shake my fist at kids. You kids. You little shits. Oh my. Okay, right. So, I think it's time for some...
You've got mail.
Okay, let's see here. Cialis? No, don't need that. Bigger bus size? No. Free iPod? Oh, might do that. Oh, are you pleasing your woman? Well, I better ask her. Oh, well, what's this? Vegan Freak email? Vegan Freak email. Yes.
This week is the email from Alabama segment.
Yes, we mentioned last week that we weren't sure, because we're talking about Plant.
We were making fun of Alabama.
Plant Eater, who was in Alabama, right, as in part of his journey across the country, and we had mentioned that we probably don't have any listeners in Alabama. And we got many emails from people in Alabama who listen to our show. So hello.
Hey out there, Alabama. This one is from Dana Bryant. Dana says, "Greetings from Alabama. Please don't stereotype all of us who are from here. I could hear it in your voice on the podcast. You really do not have a very nice picture of Bama. There are pockets of very cool, compassionate vegans in this state. I've been listening to your podcast for about a month and have found this to be a very inspirational part of my week. It is very hard to commit yourself to a lifestyle that so many people find intimidating and strange, but I'm doing my best. Keep the great information and encouragement coming. Love you from Alabama, Dana Bryant in Birmingham."
Thank you. This is another one. Apparently we're snarky.
We're snarky?
We're snarky, apparently.
We are
I'm
snarky.
sorry. Okay, vegan freaks, you bring me such joy, but not today. Well, a little bit today, but not as much as usual, because today you snarkily commented that you were sure you had no listeners in Alabama, and thus you tread on one of my pet peeves, the other one being pets versus companion animals, stereotyping of people in the American South by otherwise smart people. The South is a diverse place. We do have more than our fair share of backwards leaders and a lot of impoverished, uneducated folks who support them. But in every backwater town, you will find progressives fighting an uphill battle. I'm 30 years old, grew up in a trailer park in the Bible Belt town, and went veg of my own accord as a child. I've been around the world doing... Whoa! Somebody on a bike.
Yeah, no, somebody's walking by. Amy, that's enough. Come on, girl. That's enough. Good.
I've been around the world doing animal advocacy, and now I'm back in the South, and I'm thrilled to see booths with Why Vegan alongside church raffle booths at country festivals, and constantly amazed at the number of people I meet from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, who have dedicated their lives to animal activism. So, okay, I've never met an activist from Alabama, but I'm sure they exist, and they might very well be freaks. And don't they get enough disparagement from the street preachers? Give them some love, vegan freaks. You guys rock.
So, I'm sorry.
We're sorry.
I made fun of Alabama, kind of.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too. I feel bad now.
I do, too.
We got another one from Alabama as well. Dear Bob and Jen, this is from Melissa. I listen to your podcast religiously. I have been raised vegan since birth, and I am from Alabama. I just wanted to email you, too, to let you know that you do have listeners from Alabama. Thanks for taking the time to podcast and vodcast. I love them. Sincerely, Melissa. So, not only do we have vegan listeners from Alabama, we have vegan from birth listeners from Alabama.
Yeah, that's impressive.
We should stop being such judgmental assholes.
I know.
It's hard, though.
It is hard.
Because we are.
Yeah.
But it's our human nature.
It is.
I'm trying to just try to resist my human nature, Sister Jenna.
Yes.
Well, not resist it, but rather find the better part of it.
Indeed.
Okay, yeah. So, those are our emails from people from Alabama. And that's it.
Drop the phone, it'll save you a tenner. Send an email to Bob and Jenna.
Okay, and this week in the voicemail file, we've got voicemails from all over. So,
Time once again for some vegan freak voicemail. Maybe we'll hear from a hot chick.
Or a choice male.
Callers make us happy and help us keep our sanity, even if all they wanna do is fucking complain about the shit load of profanity.
okay, so we've got 5 voicemails this week.
Yes,
Do we
they're
not?
short. Mm-hmm.
5 short ones.
Mhm.
And let's just roll it.
Hi, Bob and Jenna. My name is Erin, and I'm from North Texas. First of all, I just want to say thank you for your book and the website. I don't know any vegans in real life, and so it's really nice to have somewhere to go. And I've also met a lot of vegans from Texas, which is really cool. Also, I just wanted to let you know that not all omnivores are assholes. This last weekend was prom for me, and when I went to dinner, the group that I went with had surprised me by making a vegan meal, which was really cool. I'm lucky to have friends that just my veganism, even if they aren't vegans themselves. And that's really cool. So I just wanted to let you know about that, and thanks again. Take care.
Very cool, Erin.
Yeah, thanks.
Good.
It got cut out a little bit there, but I think the phone was cutting out. But
Well,
good stuff.
that happens sometimes.
Yes.
And no, not all omnivores are assholes.
No.
As a prime example, my parents were in town, and they brought us 2 vegan cakes from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We're going to gain weight from eating all this cake, I'll tell you. So, yeah.
Yeah, and we cooked for them, and they happily ate all our vegan meals.
I know, and they drank soy milk like in their coffee and stuff. I was shocked.
Yeah.
They're totally cool.
So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, it's cool. Except my dad came down and he saw the juicer. We have a Champion juicer, and he goes, "Hey, you know what this is for? Grinding meat." Ha ha ha. You know. Oh, he's just a barrel of laughs, isn't he? right, another Texas voicemail.
Hi, Bob and Jenna. This is John in Texas. I'm not on the forums. I've never called before, so you probably have no idea who I am. But I'm calling in response to the caller who mentioned that she went to something. I don't know what it was, but they promised her vegan food. They kept promising. She gets there, and nothing's vegan. And what to do? Something that I do is there's an Indian grocery store near me. There they carry these boxes with foil packets with Indian food in them. They're not a culinary delight, but they're actually pretty good. They only cost $2 or $3. They have a big stamp on them saying certified vegetarian, whatever that is. However, many of them are also vegan. You just have to read the ingredients inside for yourself. Basically, if it's any kind of creamy sauce, that's probably not vegan, but most of them are. They keep forever. They were actually developed for the Indian Armed Forces. I guess they're kind of like the MREs for the Indian Army. So they keep a long time. You can store them in your car. So if you're ever out and about and you're hungry and there's no vegan alternatives, you can always pull one of those out. And talking about redneck cuisine, I've actually heated one up on my car's engine. I just put the foil pack right on the engine, waited about 5 minutes, and it was warm. However, you can also eat it at room temperature, and it's still pretty edible. As far as letting people know you're vegan, when you consider much of the population thinks that poultry and fish are vegetarian, I wouldn't expect anyone to know what vegan means. So you really have to spell it out for them. And I have played the food allergy bit. If you say that you're vegan or vegetarian, you're just a pain in the ass. But if you say you have food allergies, well, you're legitimate. You have a legitimate problem. So I found that most places will try to accommodate you. And I've used this myself. And actually, I'm not actually lying. I do have some food allergies, but not all. But I think that's all I had. But hi to all the freaks out there. I enjoyed the podcast, and take care.
Well, thanks for that, John.
Yeah, I like that recommendation. That's actually
excellent.
one I had not heard before, the keeping the Indian MRE.
Indian MRE, that's
yeah.
so cool.
In fact, I think we saw something similar to that at our
the
co-op the other day.
Yeah.
We just got them in.
They did. We'll have to grab a couple of those and throw them in the car. It's a great idea.
It is a great idea.
It's really solid. So
And I love the suggestion about heating it on your car engine.
yeah, we could totally do that.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. And if it's hot enough outside in the summer, you could put them in the sun even.
Sure.
We should grab a few because
Yeah.
there are times we're on the road and it's like I'm so tired of eating Subway.
Exactly.
If I eat Subway one more time, I'm going to. Yeah, I don't know.
Go crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. So, thanks for that, John. Glad you're
that's great.
listening. Thanks for calling in. It's
Yeah.
good to hear from you.
Lots of people from Texas.
Yeah, we do. On the forums, too.
Yeah.
Lots of Texas folks involved.
Indeed.
Yep. I just got a problem with George Bush meme.
He ruined your state, guys.
He ruined the reputation of Texas. I'm really
Yep.
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Anyway, another one from the South yet again. More South, more Southern voicemail.
Hey, vegan freaks, this is Plant Eater. I am sitting in a hotel room in rural Alabama, bored out of my mind because I just am. And I just want to tell you, riding my bike across the country has not made it any more difficult being vegan than it was sitting in rural Georgia, going to school. And in fact, I found soy milk in a grocery store in one of the most obscure towns I could ever think of. In Alabama, there were maybe one traffic light there. Their grocery store had soy milk. So things are looking up, even if it was just for the lactose intolerant. I'm going to quit rambling now. Bye.
Not rambling at all. In case you missed last week's show, that's Plant Eater. He's cycling from Georgia to Portland, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So he's riding his bike, him and, I forget the other guy's name now. The Wandering Vegan.
Yes.
Or whatever. Vegan Wanderer.
Yes.
He and Vegan Wanderer are riding their bikes.
Yeah.
So.
And last he checked in, he was somewhere on the Mississippi River, trying to cross the Mississippi River, where he could cross where it's not a highway. But that's the last he's checked in, so I'm sure he's
Cool.
probably further than that now.
But that's actually a good thing that, you can get soy milk almost anywhere now.
Yeah.
I wish that there's not a grocery store in the town we live in. There's like a little convenience store and there's a kind of general store, but neither have soy milk.
No.
I don't think anyone around here would buy it except us.
Probably not.
I don't know. Maybe if I asked at Ames General Store, they'd probably get it in and try it.
Maybe. They might get it at the Kanoko.
Maybe they'd probably get those packs in that would never go bad. You know,
Yeah,
like that are
little
good for a
ones.
year or two.
Yeah, sure.
So
You never know.
they would probably do that if I asked.
Maybe.
They'd probably laugh at me though.
Yeah.
Because both these places also sell hunting and fishing supplies.
Yeah, they do.
I wouldn't be like, yeah, hi, I would like some soy milk. Could you order some soy milk for me? They'd be like,
Right.
Yep. Okay.
So thanks for checking in, Plant.
Yeah, man, it's good to hear from you. Check in. Feel free to call anytime you're bored. We'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure we would like to keep people updated. Remember, you can always donate to Plant on his website, planteater.net. He needs some money to help him get him across the country and get some food in his belly, and it's a cool project he's doing.
Hey guys, this is Ryan. I seem to leave you guys a lot of messages, pretty much all the messages I've ever left you for your podcast while I've been driving somewhere. Well, I'm on 65 in Baltimore, and I just passed a big black pickup truck. On the side of it, in like blood red letters and this, stupid ass faux punk font. It had PETA written on the side. Of course, I knew what was next. Right underneath of it said people eating tasty animals. I started to think to myself, good God, do people still think they're so freaking clever with that? I mean, wasn't that something that people said have been saying for the last 15 years? Seriously, if you're that much against people that are fighting for animal rights, then can't you come up with something a little more clever at least? It's so freaking lame. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Bye.
I agree with you. It is completely freaking lame. It's like those people, again, the ones who always think they're the first person to ever say to you, oh, but don't plants have feelings, or whatever they say. It's like so fucking dumb.
Yeah, the people eating tasty animals is so old.
Oh, it is.
But like, what would prompt someone to write that on the side of their truck? I mean, come on.
I don't know.
Are we that much of a threat to you?
I guess we are.
Apparently.
I guess
Did
we
you
are.
have to proclaim your love for tasty animals on the side of your truck?
I guess we. I don't know. I mean, maybe their brains are just full of cholesterol and they don't know any better. Or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. All right, moving on.
Hey, Bob and Jenna, it's Danny. I didn't really know why I was calling you. I was in the chat room, and they started being like, you should drunk dial these guys, and I'm clearly drunk, so I'm dialing y'all.
I was wondering. It sounded like
I don't know. I guess I hope all is well. I'm just getting home. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday morning, because I'm so responsible.
College.
But, no, I love you guys. I think you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're definitely like the pushing force that made me go vegan at the beginning of the year. It's been going great, and I really enjoy your podcast.
Good stuff.
Bet you I'm going to sound completely different than I normally do, and you're not even going to realize it because you haven't heard me sober dial, but I love you guys. I hope you're having a good day, week, I don't know, month, whatever, and I hope you hear your podcast soon. I don't know. What am I supposed to say? Okay, have a good day, guys. Bye.
Gotta include at least one drunk dial.
Drunk dials are the best.
And I like the ones that are especially like, I love you guys.
Well, you would. I mean, of course, right?
Of course.
Drunk dials are great. So thanks for that, Dan.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We really
Thanks.
appreciate the
That's
kind
sweet.
words. We are happy to have had some small part in helping you go vegan.
Yep.
That's our goal.
Definitely.
And, we like to entertain, but really the reason we do this is to help people go vegan and stay vegan.
Mm-hmm.
It's our main goal for everything we do.
Yep. I think
So-
to stay vegan, too, especially. The people, I think, up until now, people have not thought a lot about that, but the stay vegan is important because it's hard when you don't know any other vegans.
It is. It is really hard. So, I don't know. Are we done the voicemail segment?
I believe so.
267-295-1944. Write the number down on your refrigerator door. Add the 001 country code if you call us from Vienna. That's how you leave a voicemail for good old Bob and Jenna.
Can I just say something?
What?
I have swamp ass. It is
It
really
might fall
hot.
under TMI there.
It is really hot in here. And I'm sitting on this chair that is like, it's just hot.
Yeah.
And I have these headphones on, man. They're great in the winter, but they're hot.
Yeah, we're going to have to get the air conditioner out sooner than we thought, I think.
Yeah, I know. Man, oh man. Uh-oh. Emmy's on the attack. I don't know what for, but she should be sleeping, man. It's like 85 or 88 degrees or something. I don't know. You probably all want, those of you who are from the South are probably like, oh, it's nothing, whatever. But no, up here, that's hot.
It's hot.
Because it goes down to negative 40 in the winter. So, yeah. This past winter didn't, but previous winters it does. So I'm hot, and I think as a result, I'm grumpy.
Yeah. Well, in future shows, we will have the air conditioner in here.
Do you know what else?
What?
We never played the little song from Evo.
Well, it's not too late. We can play it now.
It's not too late?
No, let's play it now.
Let's play a song. Heartborn, Evo, sent this to us. This band is called New Winds. The song is called For the Sake of the Voiceless. And this is a song, we were talking last week about the Iberian,
Yeah, we played Spanish
Peninsula.
hardcore last week, so this week we said we had to play the Portuguese.
Yeah, so there's some, he sent me the lyrics too. It says, bred by force just to satisfy our palates, their blood flows like a river. Confined to cages and crowded together in unnatural conditions, they're slaughtered and exploited. And so that's that. So here, I'll let this roll. By the way, that barking, not part of the track.
No, apparently our animals also want animal liberation.
The fight is not for us, not for our personal wants or needs. It is for every animal that has suffered and died in every slaughterhouse, in every vivisection lab, in every hellhole on earth, and for every animal that will suffer and die in those same hellholes.
All right, I give up.
The siren also not part of the song.
We'll play the song again.
Yeah.
It's another point. We'll play the whole thing through. So you can hear it without... Hear the siren? That's what goes off when there's a fire or someone needs an ambulance. So everybody knows that they... Now the dog's coming in under the table. What a mess.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to play that again.
I apologize
I thought it was going to be in Portuguese.
No, it's in English.
There. I did not know that.
Well, if it were in Portuguese, only Eva would understand it.
Well, yeah, but the last time we played something in Spanish.
Well, everybody in the United States should speak Spanish.
I agree. Not if the Bush administration has their way.
No, they want everybody to speak
English-only
English.
policies.
Which really bothers me.
Me
but
too.
I won't go there.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, so... no, I apologize. I will replay that song at some point in a future show. It's just that, with all the barking in the background, the siren in the background, it's like it ruined it, And I never turn down the inputs during songs and stuff, which I should do, but I'm lazy. It means I have to spin around in my chair and do all this other shit, and I'm lazy. And it's because I don't have any energy because I'm vegan. So... Holy hell.
But anyway.
What a crazy show.
Okay, so I hope we made sense this time.
We tried. Here's some things you need to keep on your little agenda for what we're doing in the future. We just ordered a piece of equipment that significantly streamlines the interview process for us. You may not know up until now that we've been very hesitant to do interviews. Hesitant because it's a lot of work for us.
Because we're lazy.
Because I'm lazy. Because I don't have a lot of
it is
energy.
a lot of extra work.
It is a lot of extra work to do interviews. And it's not doing the interview that's the problem. It's like getting everything set up to do it. suffice to say, it was a roundabout process and usually took at least an additional hours of worth of work to get everything sorted out. I ordered a piece of equipment, thanks to our subscriber support. Ordered a piece of equipment that will help me streamline the interview process such that all of you just pick up the phone and dial.
And it should sound better, too.
And hit record, and the interview will sound a lot better, and everything will work very well. So we have on our plate a whole list of people we want to interview, and we're going to start sorting out those interviews. So over the summer, this coming summer, probably in 2 or 3 weeks, we'll start doing these interviews, and we'll have a more kind of interesting podcast for you as time goes on. I'm not apologizing for the podcast today, because it is what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But what I am saying is that in the future we are going to have these interviews on, and this piece of equipment will help facilitate that process, getting more interviews done more quickly. So it's a good thing. So I want you to know that they're coming down the pike. If you have ideas for people you would like us to talk to, let us know, and we'll see if we can talk to them, and if it fits with the theme of the show. So we've got that coming down the pike.
Like we said at the beginning of the show, we have our music edition.
We're going to have a music edition soon, and we're going to have a lot more time this summer to work on the show than we have over the past semester. So I think the show will be going, be trending upward in a positive direction.
Indeed.
As we go on through the summer. We just need to get the air conditioning in this office because my taint is very swampy. It's very warm in here. My pits are all sweaty.
They are.
My ears are all sweaty. The sun is beating down on me.
And you've got like 10,000 computer things going that are also
I've got
radiating
computers
heat.
in here. It's too much. So as soon as I'm not distracted by... And my legs are stuck to the chair. And...
Okay. But
Boring.
Anyway.
We're done. So
you can contact us, podcast@veganfreak.com, if you want to send us an email.
As always.
And our voicemail line, 267-295-1944.
That's right. You should have it on your refrigerator by now.
You should.
Also, you can come to our website at veganfreak.com, go to our forums. You can go to our blog. We have a group blog now. Did we talk about that?
I think we talked about it last week.
Groupblog.veganfreaks.org. Go there and see what we're talking about. Frequently updated news and information and opinion. And we'd love to hear from you. So be in touch with us. We try to write back to everybody. It sometimes takes a little while, but we get there.
Mm-hmm.
Do we not?
We do.
We do. So be in touch. This week we're going out of town, so next week's podcast may be out like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, a little bit later, but
yeah,
we'll get there.
We're going to Toronto. I have to go to a conference to talk about Hurricane Katrina and basically a Marxist analysis of why the state failed to deal with all the problems that came out of Hurricane Katrina. The state being the U.S. state, not just Louisiana. So anyway, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening again. We appreciate your attention, and
we do.
We'll be back in about a week or so.
See y'all then.
See you later. Man, my taint is really swampy.